Greetings fellow grots and gits out there. Welcome to the first instalment of the Long Waaaggghhh 2019. The purpose of this is to produce monthly series to track down my own hobby goals over the course of next year, 2019, and more specifically in the areas of competitive gaming. Before I jump into the goals and what I want to set for myself, I think it'd be a good idea to give you an idea where I've come from within the hobby. I began Warhammer Fantasy roughly when I was 9 or 10 years old, around the time when 6th edition dropped. That really awesome starter set came out with the Orcs and Goblins and the Empire Regiment, which in my opinion was the best starter kit Games Workshop ever brought out. And eventually that gave me the drive and ambition to just keep going with greenskins, and I haven't looked back since, and eventually led into 40k. For many years all I really did was just paint and build. Wasn't really into the gaming side of it at such a young age. Usually, as most people do, I kind of teed it off in the teenage years. It was pretty uncool to be playing with plastic soldiers, and I didn't really get back to it until my early 20s, at which stage I just picked it up again, loved all the new models that had come out, got back to building orcs in 40k, painting, kit bashing, and just went from there. And just kept playing, and the years kept chipping away. So it wasn't until my mid-20s that I really started playing games competitively in the local area. I wouldn't say competitive, more so just for fun against mates. And I was never really a competitive player to begin with. It was more so just the hobby side of it for me. It was only until 2017 that I really started playing at a local hobby store and met a few people and just started playing more and more games. Until one day at a gathering at a local guy's house that a mate told me that there was this tournament in Melbourne and I should attend, so I looked into it, went down, painted up an army for it, attended, and I've been going to those really ever since for the past 2 years now. So all I saw these events as was more of a way to play more people than what in my local area. I've come from a somewhat rural area with very few players, and to get to go to larger areas like Melbourne, Ringwood, areas like that, I got to get a better insight into list builds, armies, and just other players in general, which was really good. So as times progressed, I picked up a few awards for conversions, display boards, fluff, sports, those types of awards. Not the top end, actually competitive gaming ones, so like best general or first, second or third. But yeah, that was really good feedback that my hobby skills were kind of up there with the big Melbourne guys, which was really reassuring for me to see that my time and effort in these models and my hobby was being recognised, and that it was up at that level with the guys from the Big Smoke. So yeah, it was seeing those amazing armies and seeing them playing really motivated me to do more and be better within the hobby. Competitive gaming and rankings, on the other hand, is another story. I was constantly ending in the bottom end of the ladder, being in the bottom 40s, 30s and the like, which still at that time wasn't a major concern for me, as I was enjoying just being amongst the scene, meeting new people, making connections and enjoying the game. This all kind of changed in my gaming mindset when I attended a local tournament down my area called Bladestorm, which is held in Bairnsdale each year. Walked in, index orcs, never really expected to do much with it. I was there more so to show off my army again. I'd built this really big display board and really enjoyed the hobby side of it and what the army looked like, and was looking for some feedback on the army more than anything else. And lo and behold, at the end of day one, I walked away 3 wins and didn't drop a game. And I can remember the realisation of, my God, I'm actually winning games here. What do I do with this? I didn't know what to do in that situation. And I was constantly thinking of, I've got to back this up on day 2. I could walk away being in the top end at the first time. Then day 2 came around, and I was up against, you won't believe it, another Orc player. My army is completely kitted out for combat. He's had lots of DACA. And essentially, we looked at each other and we thought, this is going to be a great game either way. Orcs are going to win. It'll be fun. And the game literally came down to a failed charge on my behalf. And I was shot to pieces, and that was it. Game was over, essentially. The last game of the tournament, I came up against Primaris Marines, and I'd never seen a Primaris Marine army, never looked at the rules, didn't know much about them. They've been out for a little while at that time, and I stupidly, grossly underestimated what they can do. I just thought, oh yeah, slightly tall Marines. Okay, cool, I can deal with that. And I was shot to pieces, didn't get into combat, and was removing models left, right, and centre. Had to just play tactically, not get tabled, keep moving my models backwards, hide characters and Gorkanauts for that bit of protection. Was the only way I couldn't get tabled. So day 2 had 2 losses. But it did teach me a lot. Overall, I placed 5th for the tournament, which was my best result so far. This loss and win over that weekend did 2 things for me. It gave me a taste of winning, most of all. It told me that I can be up there in the top ends of the tables with the right list builds, against the right matchups, the right tactics. That was a start. And to never underestimate an army based on appearance, most of all. I should know that as an Orc player. We have lots of cool looking stuff that may be trash, or we have a lot of trash looking older models that can be quite good. So it's taught me to appreciate that you really need to know the ins and outs of the game of other people's armies and what they can do, not just your own. And don't leave it up to playing a game to learn about it. Go ahead and do that background knowledge. So this brings me to what the Long Waaaggghhh is all about. So this is my goals for the entirety of 2019. Number 1, I'm going to aim to be in a top 20 standing for an ITC event. Now, that may not sound like a huge thing. For me, I think it would be. There's a lot of great players down in Melbourne that I come across with even better armies, greater knowledge of the game. I think a goal of in the top 20 would be good for me to begin with. It's not unattainable by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a goal I think I can go for first, and then I'll keep chipping away as it goes up. 2. As a player that bleeds green, I want to make it into the top 10 ITC ranking for an Orc player within Australia. Now, had it been last year I started this, I probably could have done that. With the new Orc decks dropping and all these awesome things coming out, this is going to be definitely a harder thing to achieve. I already know of quite a few top ranked players that are going to jump on the Orc bandwagon. Orcs look like they might be a meta-changing army. That's going to draw people in. People are going to come out of the woodwork. A lot of people are going to be playing Orcs. So that's going to be my hardest challenge. But dedicated, I'm an Orc boy. I'm gonna get in there and get it done. Number 3, attend a minimum of 6 ITC events per year. Now this is something that tends to be a little bit hard for me. My profession, I work Monday to Friday as a teacher and tend to plan and do stuff on the weekends. So getting out and dedicating myself to go and play these games and sign up to these tournaments is going to be big. I have to play or I'm not going to win. It's that simple. Number 4, 2 to 3 practice games a month in preparation for events. Now, this is probably easier for a lot of guys down Melbourne or in city areas. For me, it's a little bit harder. The lists I've faced in the local area aren't overly challenging. The competitive streak's just not there. I suppose it's more of a beer and pretzels type of hobby area. So that might mean organising games with a couple of these guys down in Melbourne and getting some practice in, essentially. Get in, get it done, learn as much as I can, practice my lists and go from there. Number 5, begin to learn the nuts and bolts of other armies. So the big ones like Ynnari, Imperial Guard Super Knights, what they can do, Space Marines, the Imperial Soup in general, since you can pretty much have a little bit of everything. It's pick and choose. That's going to be the thing to get my head around. Like I said, Ynnari, Space Elves, who wants to deal with that? Yeah, I think it's just focusing on a faction or a type of list build per month to learn their tricks and their shenanigans is going to be a big advantage. Yeah, so that's it. So the next 2 months being up around Christmas time will be a bit busy for me, just finishing the year off, but the goal's going to be just prep work for me. Building up some more units in my army, having those multiples, so I've got those choices to choose from after the dex drops, and I've got all the choice in the world to build something. And once the actual dex comes out, learning how that operates in this new edition, finding out, does my current list build suit that? Do I need to add a few units? Or what have you? And go from there. On another note, a smaller goal for myself might be to purchase some better recording equipment. Currently just filming on my phone, first time, little tiny tripod. I think it's done alright. But definitely be looking at some lighting, better camera to film battle reports and the monthly catch-ups.